consumeraccess.org. Here's Christian Yelich.
Okay, we now welcome on a very good friend of ours. It's been a while, but it is Christian Yelich, 2018 MVP, no big deal. He was not in the home run derby because he doesn't hit home runs anymore, but he's still number one in our hearts. Christian, thank you for joining us. So I was looking at it. The first time you ever joined us on the show, when the home run derby bet was made, was 2017 All-Star Game in Miami. After that point, you were maybe the best baseball player in the world for like a year and a half. So I'm hoping that you reclaim that magic and you're back to being the best baseball player in the world.
Yeah, no, it was a 18 All-Star Game in DC. And yeah, you were right. Like literally the first.
It's Miami.
No, it's Miami in the second half of 17 and then all of 18. You were
No, it was the second half of 18, all of 19. Because that was the first. We did it in the lobby or like by the elevator in DC.
That was by the elevator in Miami, though.
That was Miami.
No, because I didn't make the All-Star Game in 17. I lost my wallet at the W on South Beach. The 2017 All-Star break. I lost all my shit on the beach. So I know I wasn't with you guys.
It was like in the hallway.
It was. It was in the hallway of one. I thought that was Miami. Okay, so I stand very corrected, but the point still stands that
you're right about the rest, though.
Yeah, the PMT bump. Let's actually start with that. So this season, maybe not the best start for you, but take me back.
Not great. No.
2 months. 2 months into the season, May 23rd, you hit your first home run. Took you 2 months. Yeah. How'd that feel?
Pretty good. It took me 2 months. I wasn't really playing. I only probably had 10 games at the time, just because my back was all jacked up. But yeah, you got to get on the board, man. That's why I'm coming back with you guys. I need the bump again. We wrote it out for a pretty good heater, and then now we need a little refresher.
I feel like you need us to make another unreasonable bet because you are a spiteful guy. I like you, but I actually really hate you because you've made my life very stressful for the last couple of Junes. Thankfully, this year it wasn't so much the case, but there were some legitimate conversations that we've had to have on this show about eating each other's assholes. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I feel like you kind of thrive on that. You like seeing us uncomfortable. So I can let you make the call. Like, do you want to put us in a bad situation again? Give us something to bet on?
You guys put yourselves in a bad situation. You kind of did that to yourselves, if I recall correctly. But you know what? One of the biggest regrets I have so far in my career is not being able to do that home run derby. Like, I want to do that so bad in 2019. I actually kind of got hurt practicing for it, and I remember texting with you and just being like, dude, like I blew out getting ready for it. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know how much everybody was looking forward to that, not only at Barstool, but just like everybody that follows this show or anybody that had any kind of idea what was going on and what was being said. So still bummed about that, and maybe we'll be able to do it one day, because it's a career-long bet, if I recall correctly.
It is.
You never said, like, next home run derby. You just said ever win a home run derby.
It is. And I remember when you texted me about your back, and I think I put on the fakest, oh, man, I'm so sorry, response of all time, where I was like, damn, that really sucks. Meanwhile, I'm like, fuck yes. Hopefully your back never gets better. But I
remember Dave was all pissed too, because like I think you guys had everything set up, everyone was gonna watch it and like live stream it, everything like that. And I was like, dude, I gotta pull the shoot. Like, I literally can't swing a bat right now.
Yes. So I do fully expect you to be in a home run derby at some point. You will have to hit some more home runs though. So maybe we're hurting ourselves. I'm gonna have to play better in the actual games before I can do the home run derby. Yeah.
So. But that'll happen again eventually, I think. So we'll make this happen. I was talking to the guy yesterday that was supposed to throw to me in that derby. He was just texting me, like reaching out, saying hello. And I was like, hey, man, we got to do this like at some point before it's all said and done. Like, we got at least 7 more years left. So at some point, we're gonna get out there, I hope.
All right. So we also have to talk about the clip that went semi-viral last week. You got tagged out, making a slight move to second base, and I've never seen you that mad. You were very mad. So come on, you made a little bit of a move.
I watched the video. You deked.
You did.
You did
Your
a little.
Hips.
Yeah, you did a little like shimmy.
What's Shakira? The hips don't lie.
It's open to interpretation. I believe that's what it says in the rule book too. It's a judgment call.
And also, I think
we disagreed to disagree on what was seen and what was being said, and then one of us had to go home early.
I think what made you mad wasn't necessarily that you got called out. It's the emphaticness with which the umpire called you out. Like, he punched you out. He wound up for that. He was really excited to make that call. I think that's what rubbed you the wrong way.
It was a lot of things. It was I think that was the third game of the series, or it was just a lot of buildup that led to it. It wasn't just like that one instance, you know what I mean? But I don't really want to say too much on it because I'm probably already going to get fined a decent amount for my on-field antics there. Yeah. So we'll kind of just,
I'll ask you this way. Do you still get paid if you get kicked out of a game?
I think so. I've only been kicked out of a game twice. But this one was definitely my better one of the two. Like, if you're going to get thrown out of the game, like, I guess fully commit to getting thrown out of the game.
Yeah.
Yep. It wasn't even like, I didn't really even realize it was like a full blown like blackout snap. Like, I don't really remember it.
I was shocked.
All of it.
Yeah, I was shocked.
It's in there. Like, so people always think I'm this super like laid back, happy go lucky guy, but I'm kind of not. There's times where I am, but like I get pretty fired up out there sometimes. And people that play with me and like know me in a baseball sense know that's in there. But I'm like, my day-to-day life, I'm a pretty laid back guy. Like, kind of just chill,
But that's also like, it's funny when everyone's like, oh man, I thought he was so laid back. Well, he's a professional athlete and he's really fucking good. You have to have at least some competitive streak in you. What though? You can't talk about what happened on the field, but after, do you just go and take a shower and hang out, or did you go home? Like, what is it? Is it fun to watch the game in the clubhouse by yourself?
Yeah, so I didn't go home. I think it was the sixth inning, maybe fifth or sixth inning, somewhere in the middle of the game. My other ejection was the bottom of the first, so I actually had like the whole game to watch. So this one was at least in the middle. But Council, our manager, he got thrown out right before that, like the inning before. So he was already in the clubhouse at his desk. And to get back to our locker room, you have to walk down like a hallway, and it's past like the manager's office. So he was sitting in there. And like, I walked by his office, and I was like, "Well, shit! Like, what's up, man?"
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Did you watch with him?
No, I didn't watch with him because we were still losing at the time. And when I got thrown out of my other game, the manager also got thrown out with me, Mattingly, and I watched the whole game with him in his office. And we ended up blowing like a 5-run lead. And watching the implosion of a 5-run lead with your manager while you're both kicked out of the game was a pretty uncomfortable experience.
That's interesting.
So I was like, so I was like, all right. And then we tied it up. I was like, oh, I'll go say what's up to Counts now. Hopefully we make a comeback, and I'll watch it with him. Like, as I was going to his office, we gave up a homer, and I turned around, went back to the training room, and finished like my post game thing. Our GM was working out in the weight room, so I talked to him kind of about like what happened and all that. So I was just pretty much hanging out in shorts and a t-shirt in the clubhouse the whole time, and that was that. It's pretty uneventful. Like, I was calm again after I got thrown out. Kind of just like walked back in, and there's some of our pitchers were in the locker room. Talked to them for a little bit, and that was that.
You feel like you have a little extra
and then
swagger.
It kind of was all over the internet. Like, everybody was texting me the rest of the night. It kind of went everywhere because it was a pretty good snap. But
yeah, are you walking around like a badass? Like, you feel like, hey, don't fuck with me. I'm liable to just snap on somebody.
Not really, because it's not really. It's not something that I do. And the umpire, he was the home plate umpire the next day for us, so we went up there. We kind of both had a pretty good laugh about it. My first at bat the next day, he was like, "What's up? Like, how's it going, man? What up, dude?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Are we good?" I was like, "Yeah, we're good. Like, shit happens. My bad." And then we just carried on. It was fine. But I think me and him will probably have a pretty good relationship, at least from my end. Like, the rest of my career, it's a good laugh. And
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see if he hates me. I said I kind of went in on him a little bit, but
yeah,
it
seemed like
it's a classic case of guys being dudes. That's how we apologize. You just give us like a day, and then we see each other again, and you just look at the other person. You're like, "We cool?" And yeah, we're cool. And you don't have to actually talk about what happened or your feelings or anything like that. You just kind of acknowledge, okay, enough time has passed where I'm not mad anymore.
It was like the prototypical example of that. Actually, it was like, hey. We good? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, that shit got crazy.
We both said some stuff.
Game. Yeah, nobody even like addressed it. Like, no one was like, my bad or anything like that. It was just like, we good. Yeah, we're good. Like, all right, cool. Have a good one. And then we played the game.
My favorite is when you're like, yeah, like two alpha males sometimes get together. A lot of stuff gets said. We butt heads sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's a way that you can like apologize to another man, but also make yourself seem like the biggest alpha in the world.
Yeah, to where you're like, not like, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't. Oh no, you
Yeah.
never
We're just
apologize.
two competitive dudes.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Shit
Yeah.
happens.
It's interesting though that the two times you've gotten kicked out, your manager has also been kicked out. Are you a little bit of a brown nose? You like a teacher's pet?
The first time I got kicked out first, and then like 30 seconds later, Donnie was yelling at the umpire too, and he got kicked out. This time, counsel was arguing a call. I think it was during a pitching change, and he got thrown out. And then an inning later, I got thrown out. So at least this time, like my actions weren't the reason why the manager got thrown out, which makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. So he got chucked earlier, so I felt better about that one.
All right, so your season hasn't been going as well as you'd like, but you're going to turn it around. The Brewers though are in first place. The Cubs are done, so I don't even have like animosity. I did have a question though. That game 2 weeks ago, when the Cubs were up 7-0 and the Brewers won 15-7. What the hell gets said in the like when you come off the field after giving up a 7 spot in the first inning? Are you guys all saying to each other, hey, we're still in this, but not really believing it, and then you actually ended up winning the game by a lot?
Well, like in that situation, you're like, well, shit. Like day game, last day of the series, down 7-0. You're like, well, that wasn't a great start, and you kind of come in and you still haven't hit yet though, So there's 9 innings to play, and you're like, well, let's try and get like 1 or 2 here, and like see if we can keep it interesting, chip away. Never know what can happen. Like, like, hey, we can't really let these guys score too much more because we're already chasing 7. So what everyone was saying was like, hey, let's just try and get 1 up there, 2 up there and see what happens. And I think we did get 1 or 2 in the first. And then we got a bunch back in the second, or maybe it was tied in the second. And then, yeah, I've never seen a game like that though in my career. Like that whole series was pretty wild, like things that happened in it. And yeah, I don't even really know how to describe that game. Like you said, it was just
it was
a
insane.
Football score, Bears Packers game.
Yeah, I was listening on the radio and I was like 7-0, and I was like, oh, Cubs are back. And then 2 seconds later it was 7-6, and then you guys put up 8 runs in the 4th inning. It was like, okay, the season is pretty much over. And that was kind of like the end of the Cubs season in terms of like their losing streak and everything going poorly. But it always is funny to me when you see a score like that and you're like, it must be so weird to be in the clubhouse for that, or the dugout. It's like a softball game broke out where it's just everything is working and everyone's scoring and innings are lasting like an hour long.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours and we're in the 3rd inning or whatever. So we're like, well, if we're gonna play a 7-hour game here, we might as well win.
Yeah.
And
How many?
everyone was trying to. Yeah, it just went wild.
How many games per year do you actually get down about a loss? Because there's so many games that are played. Like, you can't take every loss super competitively, right? Or are there some guys that actually do hate losing that much that even over the course of a long season, it really affects them?
I mean, different losses definitely hurt more. Like that game, if it kept going south and you lose by 15, you're just like, well, that was a shitty day, but it's a baseball season. Like, it's going to happen. You're going to get blown out a couple times a year, even if you play on really good teams. But games where you're up like 3-2 in the 8th inning or 3-2 in the 9th, and you end up losing a tough one to somebody in the division, like that game definitely hurts a lot more than the one that was just like, well, that was just a shit show. And what are you going to do? Like, we'll get them tomorrow. So they have varying degrees. If you have losing streaks or just the time in the year when you lose, like they can hurt a little bit for sure. I mean, even though baseball's a game where you're guaranteed to basically lose at least 60 games a year, even if you're the best team in the game. So, yeah, they hurt a little bit different depending on the time.
What happens on a long losing streak? Are there guys like, let's say, so I think the Cubs lost like 10 in a row, 10 and 11, whatever it was. And I'm sure maybe in the Marlins you were on a team that had some of those losing streaks. Are there moments where different guys, like maybe 7 games in, a guy tries to give a rah-rah speech and it doesn't work, and it's like, well, fuck, what do we do now? Yeah. Like, how does that play out when you're deep in a losing streak?
Yeah, I mean, there's like I think the most we lost with the Marlins, I think was 13 maybe, is when our manager got fired and then the GM of the team became the manager. I don't know if you remember that.
That was weird.
Time. But,
yep.
So yeah, we lost 13 in a row, I think, right after that happened. And there's different phases of it. Like the first, like when you lose like 5 or 6, you're like, oh man, like shit. Like everybody's like, all right, we kind of got to turn this around. It's going south. Like we need to, and then it gets like 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you're just like, what the fuck, dude? And you seem like you find a different way to lose every night. Like it's impossible to win. Like you said, you're up by 7 and you lose, or you're winning by like 1 or 2. And somebody gets like you got like bases loaded, 2 outs, and someone's bat shatters and the game winning run scores on that play. And you're like, we literally just cannot win. And sometimes it feels that way. And then one day it turns and you can rattle off 7 or 8. That's why baseball season, there's so many ups and downs in it, you know, where there's times in the season where it feels like you're never going to lose again. And you're on a 10-game winning streak and you cannot lose. Like no matter what you do, you can't lose. And then you go through a week where you cannot win. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You could have, you know, the best pitchers in baseball going for you playing against the worst team in the game, and you just can't win because baseball's a freak game sometimes and weird stuff happens. So guys try everything. There's pump up speeches. There's guys are doing crazy things, trying crazy things, anything to just try and break the streak and to win. But if you're going to give a pump up speech, a word of advice is to like always wait till like your ace is pitching that night, or you've got like the best chance to win, or you're not going against the other team's ace.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have some feel with your speech. Because if you go out there and you're like, I don't know, if you're facing like Kershaw or something that night and you're on like a 7-game losing streak, you're like, guys, today's the day. We turn it around and he goes like 8 shutty with 14 Ks or something like that. And then you're like, oh God, no, that didn't work. You gotta wait till, like, the next day.
Yeah.
Way worse situation than you had going into the night. I want to talk to you real quick about the Bucks because you kind of got, I don't want to say overshadowed, but it seems like David Bakhtiari has a new favorite beer chugging buddy, and that's Dana Beers.
Yeah.
Have you been invited back to the playoffs? Have you been invited to a Bucks game this postseason to show off your drinking skills?
Yeah, our schedule just hasn't really lined up for it. We've been out of town or we've been playing at the same time. They're playing right now, but it's the All-Star break, so I'm not in town. I was texting D-Bach about it. He's asked if I was going to go to the game or not. What we really need to see is a Dan Vogelbach Bakhtiari chug off.
Oh.
I think that would be. I've seen Vogie hammer a beer before because I just wanted to see how fast he could chug it. And I'm not gonna lie, he'd give D-Bach a run for his money. I'm not saying he'd win because I respect D-Bach's abilities. I've seen it up close as well. Pretty impressive stuff. But I think the state of Wisconsin and beer chugging fans alike would really need to see it. We need to settle that one of these days. I was hoping we can make that happen. I'm not sure where Game 6 lines up. If we make it to Game 6, I think we may be able to go or not. But
you guys have a game 6 at home.
Do we?
Maybe they'll move it. I don't know. That would be electric, though.
Is it a day game, night game?
It's a night game, Tuesday night.
They have to move that, though.
They would have to
move that. The only thing I would tell you is next time, can you make sure that the beer is topped off?
Well, so what happened with that was I didn't know. I was just drinking a beer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really know I was going to chug it. And D-Bach like elbowed me. He goes, "Hey, bro, you're up in like 5 seconds." And so I had already had like 3/4 of a beer, or maybe it was even half. I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" Because I was on the IL at the time, so I wasn't really playing. And I was like, "I don't know if this is like the greatest look right now if I'm not playing and I'm hammering beers at the Bucks game." And our GM and everybody was there. And then I was on the screen and kind of played it off as like I was meant to do that the entire time. Kind of gave it the stand up and the walk around. And I didn't even know if I could chug it, honestly, because I hadn't chugged a beer in a really long time. But I saw what happened with Aaron, and I was like, dude, I gotta finish this thing. And there's a moment of panic there when it's tilted back. You can see me like there's like I don't know if this is gonna happen here. And we powered through it. And that's where the victory celebration kind of came in. D-Bach's all fired up, going wild. And I wouldn't give myself an A for the chug by any means. Like it wasn't impressive, but we got the job done, and that's kind of half the battle, you know?
Yeah, you got through it. It would have been very fun if you had just thrown up immediately while you were chugging the beer.
It's also just so perfect, so Wisconsin, that this is like a thing at Bucks games, and it's like everyone is just like, this is fucking awesome. All of our sports, every player who plays in a Wisconsin, sport has to come and chug a beer as fast as they can.
Right. It's just what you got to do. It makes for a great environment too. Like it's an awesome place to watch a game. Like
it is
really any of the sports teams in Wisconsin. It's a cool atmosphere no matter where you go watch the game. But those Bucks playoff games are electric.
Yeah. All right, we gotta ask you this because we need a headline. What do you think about the whole spider tax stuff? Have you noticed that a difference in the pitches you're seeing since the ban has been enacted?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I know it was fairly prevalent, but it was one of those things like nobody was really doing anything about it, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it kind of just became a big deal. I felt like that kind of happened overnight, but yeah, it was definitely one of those things where there was some nights where you could hear it sounded like Velcro going off guys' fingers when they're, especially in the 2020 season where there was no fans and it was a lot quieter in the stadiums. But I mean, guys are so good that I feel like they don't really need it. Like we've kind of shown like, hey, you guys are still really good. They can still spin the baseball. I'm not a pitcher, so I don't really know how big of a difference it really makes. It's hard to tell from the batter's box. I'll be honest. Like I still think guys are pretty nasty. Maybe that's because I'm not playing very well, so the baseball looks like an aspirin coming up there. But yeah, it was just one of those things that just gained a lot of traction out of nowhere. I felt like I think everybody in the game kind of just knew guys were using stuff to get a grip, but non-pitchers like myself, I don't know if I really know how big of a difference it does or doesn't make.
Yeah,
because guys are still pitching well. Like all the best pitchers in the game are still pretty much doing the best in the game, even after the ban. So I think it was one of those things where like everybody thought there was going to be like this massive difference, or like these guys are going to stink all of a sudden, and that just wasn't really the case. I don't know what you guys think about it, but that's kind of from my perspective.
Well, I think it's kind of weird the timing that Major League Baseball had to do it in the middle of a season, like not even over an All-Star break.
Yeah.
They just like decided one day, okay, now the rules are going to take effect, and then you had managers that I guess you just get to call out the opposing pitcher whenever you want. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw that happened the one time. I think right, it was like the Phillies-Nats game, but that hasn't happened in any of the Brewers games or anything like that. Like it's been pretty standard. The umpire checks the pitcher's glove and hat, and we're on their way. And it's like a 3-second check. So
I feel like if your manager requests the check and they find out that the pitcher's clean, the manager should have to step into the box and take an at bat.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad if you don't. Like you better have pretty good idea that there's guys going to something or using something if you're gonna call them out. I wish though? I wish normal people could take at bats.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this, I think it'd be pretty cool. I don't. There's no way that it'd actually be able to happen or anything like that. Maybe like live BPs in spring training. I think it'd be cool though, like just to give people a perspective on like baseball and like hitting. Or
hardest
even
thing to do in sports.
I honestly think if I stood in the box against Jacob deGrom and he threw 1,000 pitches, I don't think I'd make contact more than once. Maybe luckily.
It sounds extreme, but I really think you're right.
Yeah, like I would get lucky maybe a couple times, but that would be pure luck. There would never be a time where I would swing being like, I'm about to hit this.
Yeah, I mean, I think, no joke, I think like there's a chance that you could maybe like foul tip one.
Right.
But like if there was like an actual defense out there and like getting a hit, like there's no chance. Like
no.
It actually is, you go 0 for 1,000.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
I also think that you would just get exhausted swinging the bat 1,000 times.
Yes.
So if you could do like one at bat per day for 1,000 days in a row, I feel like one of those you could get a foul tip.
Yeah, because eventually like you'd
have a better chance. You have a better chance of a 1,000 at bats in a single day of foul tipping a ball. If you did one at bat for 1,000 days, I'd say 0.
Yeah, because you'd
can't get in a rhythm.
You'd have a time, like eventually you'd just be standing there and you'd just be pure guessing on timing.
Right.
Like, okay,
you'd
I
see
know
enough, and like you'd be able to like get the bat in the way of the ball at least like one time. I feel like
like I know. Yeah, I know where he is in his windup. Now's the time I got to start swinging and hope that I guessed right.
Yeah, but the thing with him is like his ball goes like this, kind of like it feels like it's going like that.
Shit.
And then he throws 95-mile-an-hour sliders, and they look like fastballs until you go to swing at them, and they're not. So it'd be an awesome experience. Like I don't know how that would ever happen. Like for people just to be able to see that. And I know there's those websites like on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. I think they're like the Pitching Ninja things where like they overlay the two balls, the fastball and slider, and just like people that think hitting and stuff is easy. Like it's kind of funny when you guys like face like Hader or something, you know, and there's a guy on third in less than 2 outs. Like, well, just make contact, you know, get the guy in there. It's like, well, dude,
right.
This guy's throwing 100 from like behind you and the balls are rising and you don't really know where it's going to be. And then it could be not a fastball too.
On the flip side, what always amazes me is like when a guy like Aroldis Chapman, who's had struggles this year because his movement is just not the same. And it's crazy to me that like a guy who throws 100, but he has no movement, everyone crushes him because it like eliminates that one variable. And now everyone in MLB, even though it's 100 miles an hour, if it's straight and doesn't move, you guys can all fucking like smash on that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just like location based. I think pitchers go in slumps too, you know, where they're not really hitting their spots as well as they usually do, or just freak things happen to them too. You know, they hit a guy, a broken bat single, and then a homer. There's 3 earned runs right there before like anything happened. So pitchers go through slumps too, but yeah, a lot of it's just like location based, and all the best pitchers in the games are the guys that, you know, throw really hard with that velocity and then can locate it really well. And like, I'm going to be honest, like facing Chapman as a left-handed hitter is not a great time either. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
It's not, you're not like stoked to go up there by any means.
So let me ask you this then, because Kyle Hendricks, obviously I love Kyle Hendricks. Like you face him a bunch. He doesn't throw faster than 88 tops, but he just all location. Like how much does that fuck with you when it's
well, you go
slower?
for 1,000 against him too.
Yeah.
Even though he throws 87, 88, just because like I enjoy facing him because I don't do well against him either. Like I wouldn't say like I crush him. We've had a lot of battles over the years just because we're in the same division and face each other all the time. But yeah, he's got 3 different fastballs and 3 different changeups and a curveball, and he locates it and moves the ball around really well and throws any pitch in any count. And so I don't think people appreciate that either. Like the art of pitching, like the way he does it because he throws 4-seam fastball that kind of cuts a little bit, like a 2-seam fastball. He throws 4-seam fastball at the top of the zone. He has a 2-seam changeup that cuts a little bit, and then a straight changeup that looks like a 4-seam fastball. It's not. And then his curveball is pretty good too. It's not what he's really known for. You know, he's known for fastball changeup. He can front door you with 2-seamers, back door you with cutters, fastball. So he's just moving it everywhere, you know, and all of this, he can make all of his pitches look the same. And people don't understand that either. Like, oh, he's throwing 87. Like, how can you not hit that? You know, it's like, well, dude, you have no idea.
Right. It could be 82 and you don't know the difference between the two.
Right. You really don't. Like they all look the same coming out of his hand. It's impressive too. Like, and one of them just never gets there. You know, they're the same pitch and one of them's 10 miles an hour slower and it just never gets there. And he's had all the success he's had in the game, you know, for a reason.
Is there a certain pitcher who's like, if you were to pick one pitch from an individual pitcher for a person like us to step into the batter's box and you get one crack at it, what is the nastiest pitch?
Oof. The guy with the nastiest pitch. I mean, there's a lot of guys with electric fastballs. Like, I don't know I mean, I think DeGrom's probably the guy that is like, it's pretty impressive. Like I faced him a lot too when I was in the NL East, and that was before he was throwing like 102. He was just only throwing 96 at the time. But give some appreciation there. I think Hader, our closer, you can watch it on TV or in video, and like certain guys' fastballs look different. Like there's different 98s. Some of them feel light and they don't feel as hard as it says. And then there's other guys' stuff that it'll say like 95, and you're like, dude, I swear that's 110.
Is that like the rising action on it? The balls that
the rise and the force seam, like the deception, the way they throw it. Like sometimes you're like, dude, this like you don't see certain guys as well. Like I might see a guy better than you see a guy, and he could be really good or be not as good, and we both have different opinions on him. Like that's why it's just a fascinating game.
Yeah. I mean, fastballs, it is always fascinating to me how much, like, 2 miles an hour or just, like I was saying with Chapman, like, when he doesn't have movement on his fastball, it could be 100, but it's not the same. Like, I've always heard, like, you know, guys whose fastball seems to get faster, like, at the end, you know what I mean? Like, it pops. Is that something that's real?
Well, so, like, people understand that now. Like, a few years ago, you wouldn't really know why a ball got on you like that.
Right.
And now it's because they have ways of telling, like, extension, like how far down the mound he is when he lets go of the ball. Like, guys that let it go closer to home plate, obviously their fastball plays better. The release, like, some guys release the ball higher or lower, and the guys that have the lower release, the ball seems to, like, take off a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, low releases and, like, height above the ground where they release the ball. And then that's where the spider tack thing came in, was in the RPMs on guys' fastballs. Like, the higher the RPMs, the more life and rise you'll get to it. And that's kind of where people were pointing to where it became kind of a problem in the game. And so if you had a guy that could combine all three of those things, then it's a tough AB, to say the least.
It's an issue, yeah. And if you want to sound really smart to your friends at home, just say, hey, you know, a rising fastball doesn't actually rise; it just doesn't drop as fast as you think it's going to drop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People forget that.
Yeah, it just holds its plane better. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What about a knuckleball? Could I step into the batter's box against a knuckleball and take 1,000 swings and hit one?
Maybe, just because the velocity is not as hard, and sometimes they don't do anything.
Right.
You know, like, sometimes a knuckleball just literally just kind of floats in there. If someone ripped off a good one, then no. Like, major league guys look stupid on a really good knuckleball. They're hard to even catch, let alone hit.
Yeah.
If they catch them pretty good. Like, guys that have a good knuckleball, you don't want to play catch with them because you actually might get hit in the face. If they catch it right, it's like, damn, no thanks, I'm good on that.
Fuck.
But there's not really too many knuckleballers left in the game. I think RA was one.
Everyone's
Stephen
using
Wright
spider
was
tack
one.
now. You can't throw a knuckleball no spin if you got all that stuff on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys ever tried that? You ever gotten, like, a can of that stuff?
Right here.
Yeah.
Right there.
I use it to blog.
How sticky is that, though? For
Very.
real, like, it's incredibly sticky.
Very sticky. Doesn't help my typing.
That was nice by you, by the way. That was a really smart move to be like, I've never seen a can of that.
Yeah, never seen.
Yeah, never in the Brewers dugout. No.
Yeah, and my
never.
beer was just accidentally half drank.
Yeah. No, I've never seen.
Yeah.
What is that spider tack stuff you got?
Yeah, never seen it. Text me a picture after.
All right, I got one last question. Use code PFT on roback.com for 20% off your first purchase. RHOBACK.com, code PFT. They make the best performance polos and the only performance polos we wear. We're going to send you one, Christian. We send everyone our Roback Performance Q-Zips when they come on the show. This is maybe some may say this is a mean question. I don't think it's that mean, but you haven't been great this year. So is it weird sometimes, like for division rivals, like if you haven't gotten a hit against a team, to be like, hey, I just got a hit, my first hit against the Cubs in the middle of July. Do I stand on first base and be like, hey, Rizzo, how was the off season?
It could. I love talking to Riz at first base. We always have some good conversations over there about who knows what. It just kind of depends what's going on or how we're both doing at the time. Kind of laugh at each other.
Yeah.
We laugh at each other about how hard baseball is sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's a great guy, man. I love talking to him over there. I really like I know it's a rivalry, but I really like all those guys over there. They're good dudes. We've had some passionate games over the years, but
I don't believe you.
Fun,
I don't
man.
believe you with Wilson Contreras. It feels like I have a theory. Actually, here's my last question. I have a theory that it's just, if you're a good catcher, you should be hated by the other team. Like the catcher position is somehow always the most hated guy on each team.
Really?
I feel like that's the case. Because I don't know.
I've always had good conversations with Wilson. You go to the plate, I always say hello to him. We've played against each other for a long time. Obviously, respect him. He's beaten us a few times on his own. He's literally hit a few walk-off homers against us, I think. So, super talented. There's always going to be that rivalry when you play each other so much, but you gotta respect like how talented people are and the way they play the game. And there's obviously a lot of those guys on the Cubs are very talented, and we've had some good fun battles, and we've come out on top on some. They've come out on the top on some, and like I said, who knows what's going to happen here in the next few months, but Riz, KB, Javi, Wilson, like that core over there. We've had a good run against them, and I've always enjoyed playing against them, even though it's a rivalry and the two fan bases don't really get along. I think the players do. We've had a couple dust ups, we've had a couple benches clearing things, but there's never been any fight, just the occasional shouting across the way at each other. But that's really been about it.
Will you sprint to first base on your next walk for us? Patrick Wisdom said he would. I don't know if he ever did. He kind of did.
He like jogged lightly.
Yeah.
It's my favorite move in baseball.
Please.
Just a full sprint.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Nemo from the Mets does it every time.
Yes,
Yeah.
do it.
Eckstein used
Your
to
next
do it.
walk.
Yeah.
Just a sprint and a breakdown at first base.
Yeah.
Yeah, just run it for show some
Don't-
hustle. There are a lot of
don't turn
youngsters
towards
watching
second.
you at home. Yeah.
Don't turn
Right, I
towards
can't
second.
turn towards second because
Yeah.
it gets heated after that happens. I don't
You
really
did.
love that.
You did. The hips moved. I watched it like
The
six
hips-
times
The
before
foot
this
moved.
interview.
My
The
foot
hips
moved,
moved.
but I didn't move my shoulders or anything. Like I didn't attempt to. There was no way I actually went to second base.
There was
I
a
don't
shimmy. There was a
But
shimmy.
like in
involved.
basketball, you guard the guy's hip. You guard the guy's belly button because he can't go anywhere without it. Your torso moved.
My belly button was looking right at the foul pole. I don't care what you say.
I
Just
don't
straight
know.
on deadlock, staring it down.
Oh.
So how are you gonna know if I sprint on a walk though? I feel like you're not locked in on every Brewers game.
I'm not.
There'll be
but
highlights.
People will say like, "Oh, he sprinted on the walk," and then we can be like, "Yeah, he respects 90," and then we'll put this clip in.
That should also be it's going to be a SportsCenter top 10 play. Just the hustle that you would show.
That's fair. You got to do something every night, to contribute to a win. And so I haven't really been getting the big hit lately. So I can hustle. I can give hard 90s.
Yes,
like you said.
exactly. He's trying to get out
hard
of the
90s.
slump.
Yeah.
Just set the tone, do the little things right, and the big things come. That's what they say, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Little things add
Yeah.
up to big things in the long run. And I'm watching this replay again. Your belly button moved. Your belly button.
No,
actually
no
moved.
chance.
It did.
Listen, Shohei Ohtani
See, this
is the
kinda how
face of
conversation
baseball.
The conversation at first base kind of went like this, and then it escalated a little bit, and I got thrown out. So I'm going to get thrown off the podcast here pretty soon, too.
You're the belly button of baseball.
Yeah. It
Oh,
moved.
man.
I would
Yeah.
have
What a
called
time,
it the
huh?
same
What a
exact
time.
way. I would have called it
We
the
just
same
played
exact
too many
way.
games. We played too many games, all right? Things were heated. Passions were high.
Mhm.
Guys being dudes, you said, and then
Yeah.
one thing led to another, and one of us had to leave the game early.
All right.
All right,
well,
you're out of here.
Yeah, we're good luck for the rest of the season. Now that the Cubs are in full rebuild mode again, I wish you personal success. I hope you have a great second half. It would be great if you just rattled off an incredible second half, and it's just you have to come on this show to find your magic.
I'm serious. If I have another great second half, but this is going to be a yearly thing for the rest of my career on the All-Star break. We're coming on PMT and just getting the bump.
And
Chopping
maybe a
it
little
up.
bit
Has
of
to
your,
happen.
maybe a little of your salary goes to us.
Well, it depends. It depends if it works or not.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
What does work
You know?
mean? What if you hit 20 home runs in the second half?
Yeah, sure.
So we get
That's
a little of your
pretty good
salary.
number, right?
20 home runs in the second half, we get a little of your salary.
25% of your salary. For every home run you hit, we get that
No,
percentage.
for let's say if you hit 20 home runs in the second half, you give this podcast $15,000.
20 homers in the second half.
Yes.
What do
We'll
we get?
sp-
What are we spending it on?
Well, you know
We're
what?
gonna
Yeah,
do-
you know what?
we're
We'll
gonna do a
spend it
parlay.
together. No. We'll go to we'll come out. We'll do where do you live in the off season? California, right?
Scottsdale, Malibu, yeah, kind of all over.
Okay, perfect. So if
We'll
you
go shopping.
if you hit 20 home runs, then we'll come we'll do like a weekend where you put us up at a 5-star resort. We all hang out, play wiffle ball, and you take us out to dinners and shit, and just on Christian. New shoes, we get matching outfits. So it doesn't have to be cash, but you have to spend it on
Guys
us.
trip. We'll go on
Yeah.
a guys trip.
Remember Brewster's Millions, the movie? You have to spend $15,000 on us in a weekend.
All right.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just a guy's
That's
trip.
fair.
I was going to say
Yeah,
that we
just a
take the
guy's
15
trip,
grand, we reinvest it, and we bet on Christian Yelich to hit another home run in the playoffs. And then if that hits, then guess
Well,
what?
I can't be a part. I
Yeah,
can't
he
be a part of
Oh,
that.
yeah,
He
yeah.
can't be a part
They'll
of
kick
that.
me out of the
Yeah,
league.
he can't be a
Disavow,
part of that.
disavow.
So it'll be a guy's trip. You'll spend it on us. 20,000. Let's say 20. Come on. 20 for 20.
Hey, well,
20 for 20.
Fine.
How about
20 home runs is a lot of home runs in the second
That's
half.
a lot of homers. I think my MVP half was like 25 or something like
Right.
that.
All right.
So this is good. 20 for 20. If you hit 20 home runs, we'll do a Brewster's Millions, but it's $20,000 weekend where Christian just spends it on us and we just go and fucking ball out.
Yeah, we'll do something fun. Guys weekend.
Yes.
and
I love this.
If you want to bump it up to 100,000, we'll eat each other's assholes.
This is when we always
Yeah,
negotiate
don't-
ourselves out of something. Yeah. We should
Just
we
say,
always
think about
do
it.
that.
Think about the 100,000.
We'll think about it.
All right, 20 home run watch starts today. I fucking love this.
Love it.
All right.
Be locked in.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Good talking to you again.
See ya. Christian Yelich was brought to you by Raycon.